Joseph Joerger was born 2 miles from Strasbourg, Alsace, France, on March 1, 1830. There, he worked on his family dairy farm. Joseph did not stay in France long, however. When Joseph was a young boy, Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte's nephew, created unrest in France when he attempted to overthrow the established government. As a result, many Alsatians migrated to the United States between 1820 and 1850. Joseph Joerger and his younger brother, Michael, were among them. The Erie Canal had opened just a few years earlier, and many immigrants found employment on the canal. At the ages of 14 and 18, Michael and Joseph took a job traveling up and down the canal on barges. The brothers earned money this way for 2 years, but it did not last forever. One day, while at work, Michael tragically drowned in an accident. Now on his own, Joseph informed his employer that he was going to California. Joseph's employer offered to pay $12 a month if Joseph would stay, but he declined. He had heard of gold in California, and he was headed to find some. When Joseph Joerger arrived in San Francisco in 1851, he began mining in Ashland, near Folsom. Joseph continued to mine. At first his work was tedious and slow, but in 1853 the Natoma Water Company began transporting water to Prairie City. Joseph Joerger and other miners were able to use the water to sluice mine. Within a few years of mining, Joseph was able to purchase land and start a dairy ranch in present-day El Dorado County. He referred to the land in El Dorado County as God's country, above the fog and below the snow of the mountains. He settled in Clarksville, California, but at one point he likely owned 700 head of shorthorn cattle, 500 of which he probably raised for beef, and 200 which were likely for milking. Joseph also held land in the Martis Valley near present-day South Lake Tahoe. During the summer, Joseph Joerger would drive the cattle up to the lush Sierra Nevada mountains to graze. There he milked his cows and made butter. The butter was sold to restaurants in San Francisco. The Joergers made a lasting impact on the community of Clarksville and in the Martis Valley. They were noted as a loving family and often held picnics or parties. Joseph and his first wife, Catherine, had 2 children. Sadly, Catherine passed away at the tender age of 25. Joseph remarried soon after to Martha Smith. Martha and Joseph had 9 children. Martha, Joseph's wife, was also good to the community with her wonderful hospitality. Often she would wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning to make breakfast for the hired hands. In order to build a steady home for his family, Joseph Joerger purchased Mormon Tavern to use as a family home during the winters spent in Clarksville. Mormon Tavern remains an important historical site in El Dorado County. Joseph Joerger's son Joseph E. Joerger tried to restore it to its previous glory of his childhood, but eventually the house was burned down. With Joseph Joerger's retirement in 1900, his sons, Joseph E. Joerger and Leroy Joerger, took over the dairy and ranching business. A little over 13 years later, Joseph Joerger passed away in 1914 in Oakland. Joseph Joerger had accumulated over 3,000 acres of land throughout El Dorado County, but the Joerger family's impact will always be present in the El Dorado Hills community, and on the land Joseph lovingly deemed God's country.